Be strong, be brave. And let us know if you die so we can send someone else. Go, go, go! You're doing better than most, I'm afraid.
Finally, GDA got something to be proud about here. So let's go over the new indestructible hero for GDA faction, Brit. So we'll read through the skills kind of briefly here and then actually look at the character in action. So Brit has some very interesting abilities. I'd actually prefer to read them from bottom to top because it makes a little more sense. You'll see here in a second. But his fourth ability, Cannonball, at level 15 at the start of the battle. This is for all of the levels for this one. Brit throws himself towards the enemy team, dealing physical damage equal to 1,000% of his defense in an area around him. He also taunts affected enemies for 6 seconds, reduces their energy resistance by 25% for 10 seconds. Additionally, at the start of the battle and every 30 seconds, he also absorbs 20% of the damage taken. So almost like Shapesmith, some other characters we've seen, and then converts it, except into health, but into a shield equal to the absorbed amount, lasting 15 seconds for himself and 2 random allies, which is pretty cool. At level 15, you get that bump from 1 to 2. So a lot of altruistic things going on there. That 1,000% of his defense is probably the only stat that matters. The little shields are very cool, but I don't think it's going to be game-changing. But they seem to load up his abilities and stack them with all these little additional things. I think that they really definitely wanted to solidify him as a good A or S tier character, whatever he ends up being here for PvP. Let's go to his skill number 3, True Leader. When an ally is defeated, the entire team gains a shield against either ranged or melee, depending on the enemy that secured the kill. So I imagine if a Universa killed somebody and they die, he gives them a shield against ranged attacks, versus maybe if Omni-Man kills them, it's against physical or melee attacks, etc. And that's equal to 25% Brit's max HP for 5 seconds. So a little brief, but that's long enough to preserve, some damage intake. Their healing also received is increased by 33%, and their energy attack is increased by 35%. So many stat bumps. Now, to be fair, this is a lot of energy this, energy that, physical this, physical that. And I'll have a chart for you guys at the end. We'll kind of do a review, but for those that don't know the differences with these numbers, those mean a lot less than other numbers. So they're still important, but they impact the damage the character's doing a lot less. But to be fair, he is a defender, so this kind of makes sense for him. Second skill here, Forever Agent. If there is at least one human on the battlefield, Brit restores 3% of his max HP per second while exhausted, and his main ability is charged by 50% when he rejoins the battle. So I believe without a human, he doesn't do this. So a lot of teams that don't have him, keep a note if you have a Viltrumite team or something like that without a human, like Mark, that's both tags. He's not going to be doing this restore feature. He'll just sit there knocked down. And if there is at least one invader on the enemy team, he is immune to defense reductions. That is the big perk that everyone is talking about. Once again, we'll pull up the chart as to what does that mean, why does defense matter. But that's pretty important. It's a bit of a shift in terms of how we strategized in warfare and in PvP in general. His number 1 perk here, very, very cool, Bombs Away. So the passive is Brit is immune to stun effects and becomes exhausted instead of dying. This is super cool. This is a brand new mechanic for Brit here in the game. So when his HP reaches 0%, instead of dying, he just gets exhausted, right? And when his HP is restored to 25%, he rejoins the battle. So his health has to get up to a quarter of his full health for him to rejoin the battle. Just something to note. Until that point, he will stay down. And if he's exhausted and down, he will not recover unless there's a human on the team, okay? His active, though, is he detonates a bomb in his own hands. He just kind of holds it above his head. It's a really funny animation. But he deals energy damage equal to 750% of his defense. So once again, a percentage of a defense, and then it's applied as energy damage. Very, very good, but still not like attack, right? Or any other stat that's just going to be a massive amount of damage. But for a defender, this is a lot of damage, for sure. Because it's based off his defense stat, right? And it's in a large area. Affected enemies also take burn damage for 50% of his attack. That one is awesome. For 50% of his attack. We know his attack stat is low because he's a defender. But as you can increase that with things like totems and artifacts and just leveling them up and giving him power and stars, that's pretty interesting, pretty cool. So Brit is a defender. Let's go over his tags really quick too, because we did not start with these. But he is a melee. He is grounded, obviously, because he is human. He is a leader, as he is presented in the show as a leader. He is human, obviously, and he is the Guardians of the Globe tag. So the expected tags, but the biggest thing here is he pretty much negates defense reductions, as you can see, 90% at 14 and completely negates them. Very similar to the way that Komodo did when he came out. People were very excited about him completely getting rid of crits, just being immune to crits. This is also a very big similar ability, but against the defense reduction. Now you might say, why does defense reduction matter? Well, for the longest time, we had Anissa's second skill, War of Attrition. And War of Attrition used to be a little less good than it was now, I would say, but it used to apply just to humans, and it would reduce their defense, I think, by 10%. So they brought it back to like 5%, up to 6 with level 15s, and then it applies to the entire team now based on how many humans are on that team. So this was a big deal. And now you ask, well, why does 6%? I mean, it only reduces their defense by 6% for attack. Well, this is important because she's an attacker. Her attack stat is rather high. As you can see, it's almost 700,000 there. As we get into bigger characters, this attack stat's getting to several millions, right? So this is going to become a scaling problem, especially characters like Craig that literally summon Anissa, right, with level 15 skills, to be noted. So when you're taking 6% of her attack stat, right, 5%, 6%, and then per human, so it could be about 10 or 12% if there's 2 humans on the team, we're talking about a massive amount, maybe 60 to 100,000, that is reduced from their defense. When you look at her defense number, you'll also notice it's only 150. So if you reduce 100,000 of that, that's a massive amount of defense that she's lost. And then you're like, what does that really matter? Well, for you math wizards out there, here's the formula for damage. Thank you, whoever put this together. We kind of knew this the whole time the game's been out, more or less. We've had an idea of some of this, but it's nice to just look at a graph and a chart, be like, that's why it does this. Okay, so this is a equation across that is being multiplied, right? So the numbers, the greater they are, the more damage output we're going to get. So the ratio of attack to defense is very important. Okay, when we balance Anissa's current attack and defense, I think it's like a 4.4 ratio. If we were to reduce her defense by 100,000, though, applying this onto her, let's say, that number goes from a 4.4 ratio to like a 6 or a 7 ratio. And you're like, well, what is that? Okay, when you increase the magnitude 3 orders, you're increasing the damage 3 orders, right? So that's a massive, massive change in the amount of damage that's actually going out to the actual character. As you can see there, it's the damage number that this whole equation is going off of. Now let's look at the energy attack, energy defense, physical attack, and physical defense, which are other stats that are put into a tiny, tiny parentheses. Remember, these are less important because, number one, they're being added, they're not being multiplied, and they are being divided over each other, but there's 2 different stats. So basically, anytime you affect energy attack or energy defense, it's a 50% increase in whatever it really is. So if you're increasing somebody's energy attack by 50%, remember, it's getting diluted in this formula because it's being divided and added before it's being multiplied, that you're only getting 50%, right? So you're getting 50% of that. So if you're getting 100% energy attack, your characters are only outputting 50% more damage, if that makes sense to you, or 50% more attack towards the equation, okay? So reducing people's defense or increasing their attack is the best thing in the game. Anything other than that is kind of a secondary action. We don't care about it nearly as much. So this is a huge thing that she affects defense, right? And it's a massive thing that Brit now completely counters that, because his ability to counter that means you guys can't affect this massive part of the damage equation, and I'm just going to negate that. So he is strong, but also let's not just jump to say he's S tier, okay? I see a lot of people getting very excited. He does some awesome damage. He spawns in at the beginning of the wave, and just blows up the enemies, which is so cool for Cecil's Nightmares. But how is this going to really look for PvP? I think we need to see some powered up Brits. I would imagine it's still pretty hard hitting, and it's awesome that he gets down and doesn't just go out of the fight and can be healed. But I don't think he's going to be very meta unless he's in a team that heals him and gets him up off the ground, right? Especially if he's in a team with no humans. So there's a lot of people that have Viltrumite teams, and this will be awesome to now make humans relevant again. But I think he needs the right team comp to truly excel, because as cool as he is, he's not outputting the damage that Conquest is. He doesn't have the stat line that Conquest does, and there's some other defenders that are pretty cool. He's probably maybe the 2nd or 3rd best defender now. I mean, we could go back and forth as to, him or Armored Adam Eve, probably being very, very similar, but I don't know that they have a real competition on Conquest. Someone that just does a ridiculous amount of raw damage in every fight and just is unkillable. But he's very cool, very excited to see where he lands. I hope you guys are excited to get Brit powered up as well, and now that we can put humans back on our teams, maybe you guys are looking forward to that. Let me know what team comps you guys think are your favorites for Brit, but I will go over mine. The developers also briefly asked us to do a free-to-play GDA. So this is very difficult because I have almost exclusively event characters, but Rex is free-to-play, and he is one of my favorite characters. The reason I like Rex is because he has some amazing level 15 skills, as well as he has this awesome 30% crit chance he gives to the whole team if fighting invaders. Okay, that's pretty good. Obviously, we're fighting not invaders at this very moment, but many teams you will fight will have invaders because it'll have Thrag, it'll have Anissa, perhaps Viltrumite Nolan, and there's several others, Conquest, etc., that we could count towards that you're going to see. And a lot of people have free-to-play characters like Uni, too, that are included in that. So you just get crit. He is super weak. He is a rare, to be fair, but his damage really, if you can keep him in the backline, keep him safe, this damage will pop off 100%. Hard part is keeping him protected back there. Donald, I would love to put in here, but he is not free-to-play. Would we consider Cecil free-to-play because he's in the Multiverse Arena shop? I would say so. I would say he's available. I get he's an event character. He's not in main recruitment, but I'm going to still put him here as an honorable mention. Perhaps if the developers do not consider that free-to-play, I will remove him. Let's put Robot. He's great. He heals. He has an amazing cloning totem now. A team for Brit, ironically, that's free-to-play, including Brit, is not free-to-play because he's an event character, but we have Brit here as our tank. I would probably put Robot in the backline here, and then the only other two characters I can think of that are free-to-play that are even good to throw here would probably be another tank like Monster Girl, who has some great team synergies with boosting HP, and also this boosting defense of Guardians of the Globe allies. That's going to tie in very nicely with Brit and his damage scales on defense, right, with certain abilities. Very, very good. Who is another free-to-play that is decent? I mean, Shrinking Ray is not good, but she has some amazing synergies, so perhaps we could throw her in there for this also, this human's defense increase for Guardians of the Globe. Perhaps we just want to boost all defense. So between her and Monster Girl, hey, there's a really cool team, free-to-play, built around him. I would not run that personally. I would say the best GDA team probably could be debated if Bulletproof should be in this list. I want to give him an honorable shout-out because, you know, Rex is a rare after all, but I would probably think it would be something like this, where you get Cecil to immediately teleport, giving the team crit. Okay, he spawns in Reanimate if anybody dies. I don't think anybody's going to die until Shapesmith does, and he's probably going to have Canslock in this team. Perhaps Rex dies first, who knows? And then he summons a Reanimate. It boosts Donald's damage, and Donald is just doing ridiculous crit damage, ridiculous overall damage, AoE, and hopefully Cecil is just staying alive, keeping the sustain, keeping heals every time he teleports. Get some heals off from Shapesmith as well, hopefully, and Brit just tanking as much damage as he can. I think this is going to be a very, very solid team, so this is my plan to build up for GDA. Hope that was a good overview of Brit, and with that, we're going to wrap it up. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.